لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام وعلى خير خلقه ونور العرشه أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبنا وسيدنا وسندنا وشفيعنا ومولانا أبو القاسم مصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم وقول الحق وفي الأرض آيات للموقنين وفي أنفسكم أفلا تبصرون. Allah Ta'ala says in these ayat of Surah Zariyat that, and in the earth there are signs for those who are sure, and in your own souls too. Will you not then see? Right? This is a question from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all the people who claim to be followers of Islam. Will you not then see there are signs inside us, inside our souls? So, sometimes we forget. But before I start my main lecture, first of all, apologies for yesterday. All to my brothers and sisters. Special apologies to my younger brothers and sisters who had to go to school. I had dragged on for a bit yesterday. Tonight, inshallah, it will not happen. Recite aloud, salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sometimes we forget that this is not the only existence we have. This is not the only life we have in this world. MashaAllah. The material life that we have in this world. This is the lowest form of existence since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us out to exist in this world. MashaAllah. The lowest form. Dunya. You know the meaning of the word dunya? In Urdu, in Arabic, Parsi, everything is the same meaning. The world. Dunya is actually the feminine noun. You know what the masculine of that is? Anybody raise your hand? Elders? Dunya, the masculine is Adna. Everybody here knows the meaning of Adna? No? All the members know, I think. Adna means very small, little. This is like an Adna qism. It's a mamuli. It's not something to talk about. Allah calls this existence dunya because it's little, it's minute. You see? So this is something that we need to remember all the time. Because when we have it good in the world, like we all have, alhamdulillah, in some form or the other, we cannot thank Allah enough. But remember, what good we have in this world now is adna, small. Remember that there is big coming in the next life and in the ultimate next life. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So don't forget in these good times, and if you ask the people in Yemen or in Syria or in Iraq, they will tell you that this dunya is really adna. They will tell you. Some countries in Africa, some places in the Far East, they have it really bad. We are very fortunate, alhamdulillah, that we have peace and security of our lives, our physical lives. And we also have the peace and security to come to gatherings like these, where Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib is mentioned. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We take these things for granted. Let us have a loud salawat. You've had dinners or not yet? I'm sure we all had a cup of tea. We can do justice to our salawat, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. May Allah bless you all. May Allah bless you all and give you more guidance, inshallah. In these gatherings, we mention Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. We follow an Amir who gives us jewels to uncover more jewels from inside us. You understand what I'm saying? If we listen to the words of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, if we listen to his words and read, we find that he gives us jewels to uncover more jewels from within us, if we are really followers, not just lovers. There are lots of lovers, like I mentioned yesterday as well. So if we are really followers, we have umpteen amounts of jewels from Amir al-Mu'minin. So we follow an Amir who gives us these jewels. We don't follow an Amir who uses treacherous means to twist religion for their own benefits. You know somebody like that? In the history of Islam, it's full of them. There is an Amir who is pious in front of the people in the world, but behind the curtain has a drink of an intoxicant and then calls himself Amir al-Mu'mineen. But we do not follow such Amirs. We follow an Amir who said, the self, the self is me, self is like a precious jewel. Whoever strives, means works hard, whoever strives for its protection, it will help him to attain an exalted position, a higher position. And whoever acts negligently, means does not pay attention to it, it will lead to humiliation. This is what Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam said to us. So, this is from a narration I took from Ghulam al-Hikam. Now, are you prepared to go with me a little bit deeper into this exploration of the self? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala MashaAllah, subhanallah. So I'm going to ask you a question. What is ruh? Everybody knows the word ruh? Yeah? What is ruh? Let's get this answer from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to his beloved Prophet in Surah Isra, verse number 85, they will ask you regarding the Spirit. Say, the Spirit is from the command of my Lord, and you have been given but a little knowledge. So basically, we do not know the Ruh in total. We have a little knowledge. We do not know the Ruh. Some people have the knowledge, like the Prophet Muhammad. So Ruh is an existence which is from a celestial world. It's not from this material world. It's from a celestial world. Again, the Quran says, when Allah is creating Adam, He says that I blew into him my spirit. Wow. And when I blew into him my spirit, he asked the angels to prostrate before Adam, didn't he? He did. And one didn't. One didn't prostrate. Anyway, but that's besides the point. So the Ruh is actually from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Are you okay? Listen, are you with me? Yeah, not going to sleep? Young boys, not going to sleep? Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi wa So the Ruh is from a celestial world. It's not something that we have here. The next question I have for all of you to think about is, what is nafs? We all know the word nafs. What is nafs? Let me tell you. The answer is that it is the 100% certainty that we have about ourselves. What is it? It is I. I is my nafs. It's I, mine, me. That is the nafs. And the nafs is different from the ruh. It is not the same thing. In English we do the translation. We say ruh is soul, nafs is soul. That is not right. It's not accurate. It can be right in layman's conversation, but when we are discussing it here in the gathering of Hussain alayhi salam, then we need to differentiate a little bit. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the ruh is the spirit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we all have, and the nafs is the me, the mind and the I. Right? The nafs is never separated from me till I'm existing. I did that, my father, my sister, I went there, I was first, you cut off my hand, you cut off my leg, but my still remains. The legs are off, but my legs were cut. Who is this mind? That is a very important thing. It's not your body parts then, because your hands and legs can be chopped up, but you'll say, my legs were chopped up. Well, are you still mine then? Are you still me? How is it possible that your half the body has been chopped off and you're still saying me? So who is this me? This me is the nafs. And some places, the Quran says, the nafs, or the soul, is precious, it's noble, and it's a source of virtues and blessings. Are you all with me? Are you understanding my language?
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Nara Hadri. MashaAllah.
So the Quran is saying that it can be noble, precious, and sources of virtue and blessings. Some places the Quran says it is the greatest enemy, and it will lead you to eventual destruction if you follow your nafs. How come it is contradicting itself? Just remember the very important thing here, that the nafs, or the soul, has two dimensions. One is the animalistic dimension, and one is the human dimension. Just let me elaborate a little bit on these two, if I have your permission. So, what is the animalistic dimension? The animalistic dimension, everybody here study biology. You will have studied at some point or the other, or maybe inshallah some will study when they grow up. In biology we study that human beings are from the animal kingdom. Is that right? Now, what does that mean? So we have hands, legs, we eat, drink, we need shelter, and we reproduce our own kinds, and we belong to the animal kingdom. We don't belong to the plant kingdom, we belong to the animal kingdom. So as an animal, we have our animalistic desires of the body. The body of this animal, which is called a human being, or Homo sapiens in the scientific language, it requires all these things. It requires food, it requires water, and it requires shelter. It has physical needs, desires, and to do all that, we need to do all these things and gather all these things to survive in this world. That is how we survive in this material world, right? Everybody's working hard. Over here, the grown-ups are working hard to earn a living so that they can provide food. In this country, alhamdulillah, we are very, very fortunate. We don't have to fight. But there are places in the world, even now, in this century, in this day and age, where people are snatching food from each other because they do not have enough. So remember, a side note, never waste food or water. Never ever do that. There are people who are struggling, but we do not know that yet, because we have not suffered that much to get food or drink. You know, Imam Hussain used to say, don't waste water when you're doing wudu. They showed us how to do wudu in one glass of water. So we here are running the tap and waiting while we are doing our wudu. You know, we rinse our face, tap is still running. Rinse one hand, tap is still running. Rinse the other hand, tap is still running, and then we turn it off. So just these small things. It's not that you have a bad intention to waste, but it is called waste. If we are the Shiyane Ali ibn Abi Talib, we have to stop this. We have to pay attention to these minute details. It's very easy to do it. It's not going to break an arm or a leg. It's very easy to do it. So just small things. Remember, as an animal, we do need food and water, but never spend it without care. If you have money, don't have elaborate feasts. At the end of the day, we are all going to eat the same thing, same amount. Don't need to show it at all. You know, you are laying out a big feast. No, that's not the right way of a moment. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So the lower existence of a human being is that of an animal. But there is something which differentiates human beings from other animals, right? What is it? We have been given something called intellect, and the ability to choose, the wisdom to choose what we want to do or not to do, which is also called free will sometimes. That is something exclusive in human beings only. And that is what makes us human. If we didn't have an intellect, if we didn't have wisdom, we would be the same as animals. We'd go and kill something to eat. You know, might is right, basically. That would happen if we didn't have the intellect. We have the intellect, so we don't go and snatch. We don't go and take somebody's share. That's very important about human beings, right? We all understand this. There's nothing new that I'm telling you. It's just I'm driving at a point. We all know Usain Bolt. Yeah, everybody know Usain Bolt? He runs fast, doesn't he? Yeah? He runs very, very fast. And we really appreciate him when we see him in the Olympics or something like that. But does that make him a better human being? He's the fastest human being, but it doesn't make him the best human being. Because it's something which is same with the ability of animals. A cheetah can run fast. A deer can run fast. All these animals, some of them, can run really, really fast. And Usain can run fast. It's an animalistic quality to run. What makes us different is the intellect. Einstein had a brain which created a few things, which developed a few things. Some people do these things which we still use from the days gone by, like Edison invented the phone, or who invented the bulb, I can't remember, the light bulb. So these people, Edison invented the bulb, Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone, So these people, why do we do this? Because we have the intellect and we can change things as we go on. 2,000 years ago, human beings used to live in caves. And they used to live, not 2,000, 5,000 years ago, let's say. 2,000 years ago, we still lived in huts and all that. But now we live in nice houses. 70 years ago, maybe 60 years ago, we used to burn firewood inside the house on a chimney to make ourselves warm in this country. Nowadays we have central heating. That's because we can think and we can create new things. Whereas if you look at a bird, 5,000 years ago, they used to build a nest of straw and leaves. They still do it. That's not changed at all. Am I right or wrong?
MashaAllah,
Yeah. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So the higher level of existence of a human being, which I said has two dimensions. One is the animalistic and the other one is the human. The human quality is what makes us human. And there's a constant confrontation between both these dimensions all the time. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if a person is governed, it's in the Quran, if a person is governed by their desires, then they will go in towards humiliation. So they go low. Just think about it. If your desires say, I'm hungry, I don't have the money, I go and steal. What will happen? If you go get caught, you get humiliated and you get arrested as well. And all things happen. So, if you're governed by your desires, then it leads to humiliation. However, if your desires are governed by your intellect, it leads you to be exalted. That was the main thing. And today, we are going to talk about our beloved Imam Hussain alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
In fact, we are going to talk about him in all these nights. But today, we are going to talk about him in this particular point because he killed his lower nafs to such a degree that he was nafsul mutmainna.
MashaAllah.
He was nafsul mutmainna, Rasulullah said. And we get criticized, at least I get criticized for saying, you say that your imams are higher than prophets and all that. I don't know whether you get criticized or not, but I do get criticized. Your imams are higher than prophets apart from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I said, yeah. But I'll give you an example from the Quran. Not just like that they are higher than the imam. I don't make up things. I read, I use my logic, and then I see what's the difference. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Ibrahim alayhi salam is quoted in the Quran as saying to the Lord, to his Lord. Ibrahim alayhi salam is Khalilullah, the good friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? His name is Khalilullah. And Ibrahim alayhi salam is quoted saying that, oh God, how do you recreate these dead people, these dead beings? How do you do that? And Allah says, oh Ibrahim, don't you have Iman? Then Ibrahim was very, very, ashamed. He said, of course, my Lord, I do have Iman, but I don't have contentment. I don't have itminan. Ibrahim alayhi salam said, the friend of Allah, that he doesn't have itminan. So Allah showed him to do this, that and the other. I think you all know the story where he killed the birds and put them on this mountain, that mountain, and then go and call them, they'll fly back to you. Because Allah recreated them, gave them life again. Yeah. But Imam Hussain, he was called Nafsul Mutmainna, oh the contented soul. It wasn't about being contented, but he was already contented. Oh the contented soul. So Imam Hussain was a contented soul. Why? Because he had no desires which he couldn't handle, which he couldn't manage. Everything was under control. He didn't need to go to Karbala, he didn't need to sacrifice himself. No, Rasulullah had told him that these are the guardians of the pond of Kawthar. These are the custodians of the pond of Kawthar, right? Hassan and Hussain, his grandsons. There was no question about that, and they were children at that time. So it didn't change anything. Rasulullah's word were there. They were of the Jannah, and they were the custodians of the pond of Kawthar. He didn't have to go and sacrifice himself, but he took a stand. He took a stand because there was a need at that time. Islam was being twisted by certain amirs, like I mentioned, and it had become blatant that this was going to destroy the religion of his grandfather. Imam Hassan had tried with a certain strategy, and they broke the Sulh al-Hassan. Remember that Imam Hassan had a Sulh with Muawiyah? Muawiyah didn't care. There were 7 items in the strategy, in the Sulh, all were broken by Muawiyah. And then he put, by breaking the last one of the Sulh, he appointed Yazid as his successor. And that was the last straw. And then, when they asked bay'ah of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Imam Hussain didn't say, I will not give bay'ah. Did he say that? You will say yes. You will say no. What did he say then? He will say, Imam Hussain said, somebody like me does not give bay'ah to somebody like Yazid. That is the main point. He was so exalted in his status, he wasn't going to come down to that level and say, yeah, I agree with you. No. He will say that you're wrong and you are not supposed to be on that chair that you're sitting on. You are not an Amir of the Muslims. You're not an Amir of the religion of his grandfather. That was his stand that he took. And he suffered, and his family suffered. So, I'm going to mention today about the fact that Imam Hussain was diverted and deviated by Hur from going to Kufa. He was not allowed to go to Kufa by the Hur's army. And Imam Hussain went on towards a different route. And it took him to a barren land where suddenly his horse stopped moving. He wouldn't go anymore. And Imam Hussain was surprised. He changed horses. And then he changed horses again. He changed the horses a few times. Some places it's mentioned 7 times he changed the horses so that they would move on, but none of the horses moved on. And then Imam Hussain asked for the locals to come in so that they could find out what is this place. Somebody said the name is Nineveh of this place. Somebody said it's a Ghadariya. And a few people mentioned this, and one old Buzurg person said this is also called Karbala. And Imam Hussain was sure that he had reached his place of destiny. And he said to Abbas, his brother, "Oh Abbas, this is where we are going to put our tents. This is our land of destiny." And Abbas started doing what the instructions were. However, Fitza came running to Imam Hussain that he's been summoned by his sister Zainab. So Imam Hussain went to her service and he asked her, "What is it, my dear sister?" And Zainab Salamullah alayha was looking very perturbed, very upset, very anxious. She said, "Oh brother, why are you stopping here? I don't get good vibes from here. My heart is going to come out of my chest because as soon as I set foot here, a wind blew which blew the dust on my face and my chadar was taken away from my head." And Imam Hussain said, "Oh sister, this is the land that my grandfather mentioned that I will be buried here. We have to stay here. This is our land of destiny. And Zainab agreed. She had no choice. Then came the instruction from Ibn Ziyad that they cannot put tents near the water. They have to go away from the river. And when Abbas heard that, he was very angry. You could see it in his face, Imam Hussain could see it in his face that he was very, very angry. And when he was angry, Imam Hussain wanted to stop him from doing anything but remove the tents. And he was not happy to remove the tents, Abbas. So Imam Hussain again approached his sister Zainab and said, "Oh Zainab, I know Abbas is in Jalal, but please convey to him that his Imam wants him to remove the tents by the river and put them more towards the desert inside." Zainab summoned Abbas. Abbas came with his head down and he said, "Yes, my dear sister, what can I do for you?" And Zainab said, "Oh Abbas, I know you've been putting tents now here, but we have to obey our Imam who says that we have to follow the instructions and not put the tents here and move away from the river." Abbas, with his head down, turned towards Najaf and looked and said to his father, "Oh father, you raised me for Karbala, but now I am unable to do anything here apart from obeying my Imam." Imam was forced to set up tents away from the river, and we all know what happened later on. The water was stopped in a few days, and the children were all thirsty. Ala lanatullah ala qawmiz zalimin. Sayalamu allazina zalamu ayyaman qalibin yanqalibun. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.